Hola, queridos. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Latinas Who Lead on ¿Qué Means What? Today's episode is very special to me because I have two great amigas with me, Stephanie Melchor and Tracy Talavera. Thank you both for being here today.
Thank you for having us.
So we're going to talk today about something that you both kind of started, but I want you all to tell me first about yourselves, and then we'll get into the project that has been going on. So Stephanie, do you want to start?
Sure. Hi, everyone. My name is Stephanie Melchor. I am a proud resident of San Antonio. I'm also a communications professional. That's my day job. And then I would say off to the side, I try my best to be involved in the community as much as I can.
Thank you, Stephanie. Tracy, what about you?
Hi, everyone. I'm Tracy Talavera. I'm originally from Laredo, but I have been living in awesome San Antonio for about 5 years now. And by day, I do PR as well. And by evenings and on weekends, I am a community advocate, regularly involved in a lot of different community initiatives.
And I just think you ladies rock. So we'll add that to that.
Thank you.
So we all met and got to know each other much better through a program called LLI, Latina Leadership Institute, which is a program of the San Antonio Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. So why don't you first tell me the project that you're working on and how is it connected to LLI?
It was early July. Tracy and I had been in our feelings about Vanessa Guillén. It really hadn't left our minds. We were texting about her a lot. And we got on the phone with each other and we were just feeling extremely restless. Like, what can we do? On top of everything, there's a pandemic. We aren't the most comfortable protesting right now. How can we get involved in a safe way? How can we show our feelings and probably what a lot of our community is feeling about Vanessa Guillén? What can we do? And we were on the phone and we just said, let's do a commemorative shrine. Let's get this together. Let's find a business owner who's willing to host the shrine. Let's make a Facebook event and invite people to leave their tokens of affection, their cards, stuffed animals, whatever it may be. And within 24 hours, we were able to host the shrine at Cafe Azteca. And it was beautiful. You know, there was hundreds of cards, sympathy cards, and other tokens of affection left by the community. And Tracy and I were just extremely moved by seeing how much of our community really needed this space. A moment that stuck out to me particularly is when Tracy and I stopped by to check on the commemoration. There was a father and his two young daughters, and he was praying out loud. And that just goes to show that this was something that people needed. So we were glad to start that commemoration. And then one thing leads to another, and now we are working on a mural. So Tracy, do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yes. So pretty early on, when we were, talking about our sadness and frustration about the situation, about what happened to Vanessa, our big picture idea was, let's get a mural started. But in that moment, considering everything that we're involved in, with our full-time jobs and everything on the side, we were like, we don't think we have the bandwidth for this. So let's just get this shrine started. And then let's just get through this weekend. It was really kind of like where we were at. Let's get through this weekend and doing this now. The beauty of what happened at the shrine was that the community really came together, right? The graphic design really was done for free by two artists. The printing was done by La Printeria. So many different things that it was just really the community, Cafe Azteca willing to host it. And when we were there at the shrine, pretty early in the morning, a lot of women from the Latina Leadership Institute were there very early on, helping set up, helping get things together. And Erica Prosper is there, the First Lady of San Antonio. And we all just start talking and she brings up like, hey, have you guys thought about a mural? And we were just like, yes, actually, we have thought about this, but we're just trying to get through this weekend and helping support the shrine and keeping it clean and making sure that, we're taking care of the space. And she was like, okay. So from there on out, it just kind of sprouted into a group of women who have been Latina leaders in the community for a really long time, who have supported this effort. pretty early on, we got all together and started writing letters to like, LULAC. We also got LPN involved. And then the alumni of Latina Leadership Institute, Erica Prosper, Michelle Martinez, yourself, Stephanie Guerra, Claudia Hernandez, different women got together and pretty much started supporting Stephanie and I in this initiative. And from there on out, it's just kind of been a constant, first let's get these letters. Okay, now we're gonna get this fundraiser together to get the money together. Carla Duran was very instrumental in helping us get a location and also in helping us get the artists. And I think one thing that's very important to mention here is that all of this really was an effort by the community for the community. It was never really an effort where Stephanie and I ever felt alone in the situation, because it was pretty obvious at the shrine that the community wanted this. Because even after we went and cleaned up the shrine, we were able to leave a lot of the tokens of affection there, and the owner of the building of Café Azteca continued the shrine. And then the weekend after that, there was a motorcade organized, from different organizations. So you are doing something for the community, by the community, when the community takes it over and continues the project.
Why do you think that the community is responding in this way? I mean, the news of Vanessa Guillén's story, when it hit, I think hit a lot of people in a different way. And you two both said, like, you were feeling your sadness and grief over it. But why do you think that the community in San Antonio has had such a strong reaction to even what you did at Azteca Cafe?
I mean, San Antonio is a predominantly Latinx community, and this Vanessa Guillén is one of our own. She's our cousin, she's our niece, our sister, our friend. And I think seeing one of our own so deeply disrespected to the point where she was murdered, that offends all of us as a group. And that is something that we are going to be loud about, because we can't afford having another one of ours killed. And Latinas and Latinos are stepping up in places everywhere across all industries. And it's extremely important that we're protected and that we let everyone know that our tribe is here to make noise when one of ours is not protected.
I agree. I do think that it hit really home, it hit home to a lot of the Latino community, the Latinx community, Latinas, especially because, it really does begin to flower this conversation that's kind of already been happening throughout our country throughout the years, right? Like violence against women. And I think in this situation, the fact that she was a soldier, that she signed up, she was a patriot to fight for her country, and the fact that she died in her own country and not being heard by her leadership about what was going on. And she was adamant to do something about it. And I think the key part here is how much noise her family had to make, right? Like, the most infuriating part is the fact that her family and her mom, her sisters in particular, that we see them on television very often, had to create a whole movement to get any semblance of justice, which we are still not seeing, right? So what really hits home here is, why does the Latino community, the Latinx community, Latinas, have to come out in full force just to get some semblance of justice?
I agree. It's a question that should be asked a lot more in a lot more places, and so that we can demand the answers to. And I think what you two have been leading in this effort with the mural is a little bit towards that. So tell me, what do you want San Antonio and other people who will come across this mural to understand why it exists?
I think in addition to, how Tracy and I talked about creating a space for our community to honor her, I think most importantly is we want this mural to be a catalyst of the conversation about violence against women, about institutions that enable a culture that harms women and sometimes ends up with them dead. So we want this dialogue to continue in our community about both, like I said, the violence against women and also the institutions.
So those are big, those are huge. And Stephanie, before this recording, you mentioned about how what this has been teaching you is when women come together. Can you expand on the lessons that you've learned through this?
Yeah, I think, Melanie mentioned that we are a part of Latina Leadership Institute. We're alumni of the program. So Tracy and I met through the program. So if it wasn't through the program, Tracy and I wouldn't be here organizing in our community together. And if it wasn't for the program, we wouldn't have this tribe of women helping us to get a mural in San Antonio, which is just, in our wildest dreams, we didn't think that was possible. And it's turning out to be something really special. And this also goes back to kind of why Tracy and I really started the commemoration and all this, because we care about women. We care about Vanessa Guillén. We care about women in all races. We want to see each other succeed. So I think this project is really a testament of the power of women who care about each other, women who want to see one another succeed. So I think one of my favorite, I wouldn't even say it's a lesson, but it's just a reminder that we have to link arms. We have to keep protecting each other. We have to keep using our voice, because some really magical things happen when we stick together.
I agree with Stephanie wholeheartedly. When women stick together, we really do a lot more. I think that in this whole process, what I've learned is that we need to pay it forward. So many women in this group text, so many women who have been a part of this have uplifted Stephanie and I to be able to have the resources to fulfill this project and to keep honoring Vanessa Guillén. And I think what I've learned from it all is that they're paying it forward. Someone did this for them at one point, and they're paying it forward to us. And then in the future, Stephanie and I will pay it forward to the next generation. So this conversation does not end here. It doesn't stop here, right? Like, violence against women is unacceptable in any situation. But I think another thing that it has taught me is that sometimes taking leadership isn't only in the public eye, it's also taking leadership in the private areas in your life, right? Having conversations with your family members, making sure you're holding them accountable when they say things that are unacceptable, making sure that you are also being intersectional in your conversations and not just highlighting one part of it, because at the end of the day, violence against women affects all women, and especially Black and brown women.
So Tracy talked about paying it forward. And I think something that's like really special to note is that women like Carla Duran, Michelle Martinez, Erica Prosper, Tracy and I really look up to them. We look up to them as women that we aspire to be. We think that the work that they do in the community is goals. So for these women to get behind us and push us and tell us we can do it, that gives Tracy and I so much inspiration and so much fuel. And it's kind of like a full circle moment. We've seen Erica Prosper give talks for years, and we think she's a rock star, and she said the other day when we were thanking her for something, we're just helping you feel your passion, and just the fact that these role models to us are really pushing Tracy and I to do what we want to do. We will definitely pay it forward to the next generation when that time comes.
That's beautiful, and I love it. It's so much of what we don't talk about in the Latina space in particular is mentorship and what that actually looks like. So at any point, there's a Latina out there today or a woman watching today and wants to step in their power. What do you say to them?
I would say it's as simple as showing up. I think I've always had this ambition inside of me, and I didn't know where to take it. I applied for this Latina Leadership Institute program, very timid, not sure if I'd get accepted. And I showed up to every class with questions, with taking notes, ready to learn and ready to just ask these role models of mine to kind of unofficially mentor me. So I think show up in the spaces that you want to be in consistently. You may not be noticed the first time, you may not be noticed the second time, but when you keep showing up and you keep raising your hand, you will get where you want to be. You just have to be there, be present.
Tracy?
I think for me, it's take up space. I think, and you both were in my class, I was always loud. I was always asking questions. I was always bringing in my 2 cents. And maybe I'm not the most, how can I say, sometimes I come off a little bit more confrontational. I'm definitely, I am a loud voice in rooms. But at the same time, I know my knowledge and I know my worth and I know what I can bring to the table. And so don't be afraid to take up space. Don't be afraid to say what needs to be said, because oftentimes you are going to be the only Latina in the room and you're the only voice that our community has. And it's not fun sometimes. It's definitely intimidating, and it's definitely sometimes, you get imposter syndrome. I've gotten it so many times. But at this point, with all the women that have been around me that are just so amazing in their own way, just so many community activists, but so many women out here that are in LLI as well, that I've met that constantly give the words of affirmation that say, hey, you're doing it and you're doing it right, and continue doing it because you give me inspiration and fire. And it's take up your space and don't apologize for it. Like unapologetically take up space and because we need you, the community needs you, and we need you, and like the more partners the better, and the more change we're going to make.
So I want to end this with just a little bit of details for everyone to know. How much money did y'all raise and what happened?
Our goal, our fundraising goal was $1,500. We were able to raise $2,500 thanks to our lovely community. So that was pretty awesome. So we will have an extra $1,000 to send to Vanessa Guillén's family, which is incredible.
And tell me about the artists.
Yeah, so one of them is named Adriana Garcia. She's actually very well known around San Antonio. She has been commissioned for multiple murals around here, like a total chingona. Just extremely honored, that she would be working on this mural, just because of what the situation, kind of like the passion of the situation, right? Like the sense of community and the sense of urgency to bring attention to it. And then there is also Ana Laura Hernandez, who she is, I didn't find out till after the fact that she is also a native Laredoan, which makes me, it's like, yay, us Laredoans out here in San Antonio.
Major kudos to Adriana and Ana Laura, because like Tracy said, this is no easy task. I mean, they're out in the Texas heat, painting on a concrete building, using a scissor lift, using lots of different equipment over a period of weeks, and they were not willing to accept money for it, which is just absolutely insane. And another really special moment we all had together was when we did a little prayer before they started the mural. So we got some sage and we kind of, blessed the area. And Adriana, one of the artists, as she was, saging all of us, she said something that really stuck with me. She said, when she was saging Tracy and I, she said, and to the chingonas that helped make this happen. And it's just like, we are all just really supporting each other. Like, they're the chingonas because they're the ones painting it, like we all just support each other and are so grateful of one another's skills and ability to just really bring this together. We didn't know them before, and now we're doing a great project together.
Stephanie and Tracy, thank you so much for taking the time to speak with me today. And more importantly, thank you for following that passion that was in your heart, whatever lit up to take those steps to first do the shrine and then say yes to doing the mural. I can't wait to see it. And I can't wait to show it to San Antonio. And I'm so proud of you both. And I'm so glad I get to call you friends.
Glad to call you a friend too. Thank you, Melanie.
Thank you.
Thanks, ladies.
Thank you, Melanie.
On Saturday, September 5th, 2020, Tracy, Stephanie, Adriana, Ana Laura, and all the volunteers unveiled the mural,
Entre Todas Las Mujeres, dedicated to Vanessa Guillén and her family. Find it in San Antonio's Westside at Chicho Boys Fruit Market.